A long time ago, my brother worked for this company, Comprehensive Snacks, and they put in a profit-sharing thing in one summer. And out of nowhere, one day he got a check for like 140 bucks. So he bought the family a used video camera for Christmas. It didn't get used so much because, Dad was busy fabricating spine cobs all day, and Mom was always real busy selling her homemade apple wads. Just after my grandfather turned 99, he got into this weird active phase. And he got a hold of the camera and the instruction booklet, and he just started making these movies. Every chance he could. And we didn't stop him because, we figured as long as he was doing that, he wasn't trying to take our chairs apart or painting over the light sockets or trying to get the toaster to make copies of things. The documentaries, I guess there's some kind of creative outlet for my grandfather. I guess he was bored or something. But he would come clumping down the stairs and he would say, "Magic time!" And that meant we would have to sit through another one of his movies, And some of them were worse than others. There was the one he did about the periodic table. It was called the periodic table, where he would just show one of the elements on a chart, and there would be a pause, and then he would say the number of the element and just keep going like that. He went all the way up through strontium. And then there was the whole sea monkey series. And somehow he got a hold of some sea monkeys, little sea monkeys, and he was just going to document their little lives. And that went on for a while, and I finally thought, I can't sit through that one. So I found them and I swallowed them. I swallowed them all. And that was a small price to pay for not having to, sit through that particular project. I knew it was not a good sign when my grandfather started making these things, because as far back as I can remember, he was not what you would call a good storyteller. He would end the simplest stories by making these vague accusations against us kids. He'd be telling us the fables, Goldilocks and the Three Bears, or Paul Bunyan's axe, or the Emperor's New Purse. And he would end them by saying, "Doesn't what they went through make you feel guilty and useless?" Or his funny real life stories would end with, "Sure, it was funny then, but how funny would it have been to the men who were slaughtered at Normandy?" And we were like, "Grandpa, you were just talking about the circus."
About a minute or two. The crawfish are served with a savory beurre blanc flavored with white wine, fish stock, balsamic vinegar.
We used to like to play little tricks on my grandfather when he hit his 90s. we would wait until he was all druggy and suggestible, and I would go behind the big clock in the living room, and I would turn the hands backwards, and we would go, "Hey, look, Grandpa, time's moving backwards. Soon Babe Ruth will be alive again." And he would get all excited, and eventually would just fall asleep. Or we would hide his Social Security checks, little things like that. I think he enjoyed it.
What's that? What's that camera doing here?
Yeah, toward the end, it seemed like my grandfather was losing interest in the movies. He went back to his jigsaw puzzles. He didn't put them together or anything. He would just sit there with a pair of scissors and round off the pieces. He would do that for hours. And then the camera went back in the box. And I guess there's probably some movies of his that are still around somewhere or that got erased. I mean, I had to go over a few of his tapes myself in an emergency because, back then, who knew when Ghostbusters was going to be on cable again?